Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really going to get into the weeds on a framework for moving from, well, a state of constant reaction to one of strategic control. If you feel like your whole day is just putting out fires, reacting to emails, market shifts, the loudest person in the meeting, and you're, busy but not actually going anywhere, this deep dive is for you. We're breaking down how to think 5 moves ahead.
It's the perfect antidote to just being busy, right?
Yeah.
The whole thing is built around this core metaphor of chess, which I think creates a really clear contrast.
A beginner versus a grandmaster.
Exactly. A beginner is just looking at the next move. What piece can I take? What's the immediate threat? They're totally defensive.
They're playing one move at a time.
One move at a time. A grandmaster, though, they're thinking in sequences. They see 3, 5, maybe 10 moves down the line with all the possible variations. They're setting traps, seeing opportunities that the beginner doesn't even know exist yet.
And that's where most of us are stuck, right? In our professional lives, even our personal lives. We're the beginner, reacting to short-term money problems, to whatever's screaming the loudest, or just, that fear of missing out.
And that state of reaction is absolutely exhausting. It's a guarantee you'll stay stagnant. So the whole idea here is that real success isn't just about hustle. It's not just raw intelligence. It's about having deep strategic clarity. A playbook.
And this playbook is built on 5 moves. You mentioned they work like a ladder.
Yeah, think of it like a ladder. If any one rung is weak, it becomes a bottleneck. It limits how high you can climb, no matter how strong the other rungs are.
So our mission today is to unpack that ladder, these 5 moves, and really get into the core mindset behind it all. Sequence thinking.
Let's start right there. That's the operating system for everything else. We have to stop asking the reactive question.
Which is, what do I do next?
What should I do next? Yeah. That's the one-move mindset. We have to shift to the strategic question, which is more of a chain reaction. If I do this, what happens next? And then what? And then what?
That's the sequence.
That's the sequence. It's the hallmark of real leaders. They aren't surprised often, not because they can predict the future, but because they've already walked through the scenarios in their head. They've thought about the pushback, the competitor's move, the market shift, before they even take the first step.
And that kind of thinking, that prep work, it doesn't start with the market. It starts with you.
Right.
Which brings us to move 1. Master knowing yourself. Why start there?
Because if you don't, you are almost guaranteed to pick the wrong strategy. You'll chase goals that don't actually make you happy. You'll copy someone else's playbook that just doesn't fit your wiring.
Yeah.
And you might even win financially, but feel like you've lost personally.
Strategy is the tool, but identity is the direction.
Perfectly put. Identity is the direction.
The framework for dominant drives here I found really, really helpful. It says that we're all complex, but usually one of 4 main drives is steering the ship for our big decisions.
Yes, this brings so much clarity. Okay, so first you have advancement. This is all about status, growth, hitting milestones, getting that public recognition.
What classic ladder climber.
Kind of, yeah. Then second, you have individuality. This drive prizes freedom, independence, total control over your schedule, your lifestyle. It often values autonomy way more than scale.
Okay, and the third one is a bit different.
The third is competition, or as the source calls it, provocatively, madness. This is just that raw desire to win, to dominate your rivals, to prove a point.
And the last one.
And finally, purpose. This is centered on impact, on meaning, contribution, leaving a legacy, making a dent in the universe that's bigger than just yourself.
The most powerful takeaway here for me was the idea of self-betrayal. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. It's when you borrow someone else's drive. Let's say you're killing yourself to chase massive revenue and status. That's the advancement drive, because that's what you're told success looks like.
Right.
But deep down, what you really, truly want is the freedom and independence of the individuality drive. So you win the wrong game. And that guarantees you'll be miserable because you sacrifice the thing you actually value for, a status symbol that you borrowed from someone else.
So knowing your drive is what turns a vague goal like, I want to be successful, into a real vision.
Vague goals are useless. They don't help you make choices. A real vision is specific, it's emotional. The book suggests an exercise. Describe your ideal day 10 years from now in super vivid detail. And this is the key part. Define what sacrifices you are willing to make. And just as important, what you're unwilling to sacrifice to get there.
That vision becomes a filter.
A powerful filter. It lets you say no to things, even profitable things, that don't align.
This all requires what's called brutal self-honesty, which sounds painful.
It is painful. It means you have to admit what you're actually good at, what drains you, what your emotional triggers are when you're under stress. Because strategy fails when you ignore who you are. If you know that pressure makes you micromanage, pretending you're a great delegator is just setting yourself up to fail.
So you don't fix the weakness, you design around it.
You design systems and teams to make your weaknesses irrelevant. That's the key. You play to your strengths and you build a structure to handle your faults.
Okay, so once we have our direction from move 1, we have to actually make things happen. And that brings us to move 2. Master the ability to reason. This is all about decision quality.
Exactly. Most failures aren't failures of strategy, they're failures of reasoning under pressure. We let fear or ego or just a false sense of urgency hijack our logic. Mastering this move is about building a mental moat around your decisions, separating fact from all that emotional noise.
So we need to stop just reacting and panicking. What are the steps for that? The structured problem solving.
It's a 6-step loop. 1, define the real problem, not just the symptom you're seeing.
Okay.
2, measure the downside and the upside. 3, find the root causes. 4, list multiple solutions, don't just stop at the first easy one. 5, and this is critical, think through the second and third order effects.
Ah, there's the sequence thinking again. Most people only think about the immediate result.
They do. They launch a product, that's the first order effect, but they don't think about the second order effect, which is your competitor panicking and dropping their prices, or the third order effect, which is your own team panicking, and now you have to cut staff to protect your margins. Strategic leaders see that whole chain reaction.
And the last step.
Step 6 is decide, execute, and then review the outcome so you can learn from it.
I love the practical tool they call solve for X thinking. How does that work when you're just drowning in complexity?
You find the one variable that matters most, the X. If you can move that one lever, it automatically solves or lessens 3 or 4 other problems. So instead of trying to fix 10 things, you focus all your energy on that single high leverage point.
And what about speed? Leaders are always told to move fast.
The rule is simple. Move fast on decisions you can easily reverse. But you have to slow down for the irreversible ones, the big bets. Strategic leaders know what their worst case scenario is, they accept it, and then they act without getting stuck in perfection paralysis.
All right, so we know ourselves, we know how to think clearly, but a big vision is, well, too big for one person. This takes us right to move 3. Master building the right team.
Yeah, the whole myth of the lone wolf founder is just, it's a trap. A big vision needs specialists, it needs operators, it needs leaders who can run entire departments without you. If you try to do it all, you become the bottleneck. The whole thing depends on you, which makes it incredibly fragile.
And your role has to evolve. You go from being the doer
To the leader who manages the doers, and then finally to the architect who designs the whole system in the culture.
and that jump from doer to architect is the hardest one.
It's so hard. It means letting go. It means you have to shift from hiring for help, just getting tasks off your plate, to hiring for leverage.
What's the practical difference there? When you're overwhelmed, you just want help.
Leverage means you hire for a strength you just don't have. The goal is for a great hire to make an entire function, like marketing or finance, completely disappear from your daily mental load. You trust them that much. You give them full ownership.
And culture is what holds that team together. The idea of a principles-based culture really stood out.
A principles-based culture. Things like meritocracy, accountability, truth over comfort. It acts like a shortcut for decisions. When you're not in the room, the culture guides the team to make the right choice.
Which leads to this really powerful idea, trust equals speed.
It's maybe the most fundamental equation in business. High trust means faster decisions. People spend less time second-guessing motives or writing CYA emails. They just execute. Low trust. Everything grinds to a halt. Every decision is political and slow.
Okay, so we have direction, decisions, and a team. Now comes the big test. Move 4, master strategy to scale. This is where so many companies just break.
Oh, they break violently. What worked with 10 people completely falls apart at 100. Scaling needs systems. It needs clear metrics. It needs leaders who can lead other leaders. Without that structure, growth is just chaos with a bigger payroll.
And you have to design for exponential growth, not linear. What's an example of that?
It means focusing on things that scale without adding more people. Think software versus consulting. It also means you have to be willing to say no to revenue if it blocks your ability to scale. That one-off custom project might look good now, but if it forces you to build a whole separate process, you're choosing linear growth. You're getting bogged down.
As you scale, things get messy. That's where the idea of controlled chaos comes in.
You have to prepare for the chaos before it hits, you standardize processes, you delegate real authority, and you get obsessed with your data.
Yeah.
This is the Moneyball part of leadership.
Right. Knowing the numbers that actually matter. Not just revenue, but customer acquisition cost, churn rate, margin per employee.
The numbers cut through the emotional noise of growth. Clarity creates control. And you also have to maintain a state of what they call healthy paranoia.
Healthy paranoia.
Success makes you complacent. You have to assume someone somewhere is coming to disrupt you. You have to keep learning like you're a beginner, even when you're on top. Complacency is the silent killer.
Okay, we've built the machine. Now, move 5 is about protecting it. Masters making power plays.
This one makes people a little uncomfortable, but power is just a reality. It's not a dirty word. If you ignore power dynamics, you become a victim of them. Power comes from competence, from credibility, from your track record of actually getting things done.
I like the section on how David's beat Goliaths. It's not about force.
It's about asymmetry. The small player wins by being faster, by picking very specific, focused battles, by forming alliances, and maybe most importantly, by controlling perception. You have to look bigger and stronger than you are.
Which is all about narrative control. If you don't tell your story, a competitor or a critic will tell it for you.
100%. Leaders have to be proactive communicators. They have to speak up during a crisis. They have to own their narrative because that narrative shapes the reality of how people see them.
The Source even has this.
Yeah.
Controversial advice about studying mobsters to understand power. Not the criminality, obviously, but the raw strategy.
Right. The idea isn't to endorse the methods. It's to understand the pure mechanics of leverage in a high-stakes world. You learn lessons like always know what the other side really wants, protect your leverage no matter what, and never, ever negotiate from a position of desperation.
And once you have that power, you have to work to keep it.
It's not permanent. Power disappears the second you stop delivering or you lose touch with what's happening on the front lines. You maintain it by winning, by listening, and by investing in your relationships.
So let's bring this all together. For you listening who feels stuck in that reactive loop, what does this all mean?
It means you have a ladder. It's a sequence. Move 1 gives you direction. Move 2 gives you decision quality. Move 3 removes your personal limits by building a team. Move 4 creates scalable momentum. And move 5, that's for protection and amplification. And remember, your weakest move on that ladder is what's holding you back right now.
Success is never an accident. The best leaders aren't just playing the game one move at a time. They know themselves, they build systems, and ultimately their job is to control the whole board.
So here's a final thought for you to take with you. If you really honestly identified your dominant drive back in move 1, what specific irreversible decision for move 2 are you delaying right now simply because you haven't built the systems for move 4 that you'd need to handle the outcome?
Go figure out your next 5 moves. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.